Another very lovely evening to all of you once again. I'm ever so thankful that you all could join me. Today is just a little bit of a side video, if you wish to call it that. I just felt like talking about these things in my life. I feel like I would be doing a disservice to people if I didn't say the things that really help my faith be strengthened even more so whenever I get down, and times whenever I get down, and there's especially this year, I just feel like a word of encouragement for everyone. These are events in my life that are proof of the Christian God. The reason why I'm saying the Christian God is because it fits his character in every way, shape, form, and fashion. And I would just like to tell some stories that have happened to me. I remember it's about a year and a half ago. I was getting ready to move, and I was being forced to move. Now I didn't really have a an option other than just find another place to live. Someone else had bought the place that I was renting. Anyway, I remember I saved up $3,000, pretty much right to the dollar, $3,000. And that wasn't for moving. I thought, well, it'll cost me about 1,200 or so to move, and then I'll get everything settled. Man, I'm set. I usually never have so much money, $3,000. But I wound up, I went, rented a U-Haul, the biggest one that I could get. I didn't pay anybody to help me. I didn't even get anybody to help me. I did it all myself. I moved myself, drove myself, just every bit of it. And I remember after I finally got everything moved in, it's the place where I live right now. I had wound up spending 2,900 and like 55 bucks. I had just enough money to pay for gas to go to work, and I had to work right after. I remember I was just so thoroughly exhausted. But that's just one event. It was right on the dot. And as I said, the reason why that's so unique is because I never have anywhere close to that kind of money. I might have 1,200 saved up at a time, but I never have 3,000. And it's almost like, or it is like God just knew that I would have to have that much plus gas money, and it's our just give us our daily bread. The second one, life event, is it was a hard lesson. It was incredibly difficult to go through. It was about right around the time that I was moving, about a year and a half ago. I was really getting into boxing, and I've always liked boxing. But I remember, I mean, I was in the best shape I've ever been in my life, and I remember me and a buddy of mine. We drove to Virginia for me to box someone. Had no idea who I was going to box whatsoever. I get all the way on up there, and they choose me and another guy. We're of the same weight class and everything, but he's about like a foot taller than me. But he wasn't like a giant kind of a guy, but compared to me, he's just a tall guy. I still didn't worry about it. I thought, you know, I'll take him on. This ain't gonna be a problem. And I remember the fights were scheduled for earlier in the morning to avoid the bad weather in the evening. And it was a sunny day. We got up there. I got witnesses to this. It was bright and sunny day. Everything was good. Everything was so cool, and it was the perfect weather. It was in July, and I get up there, and we're fighting outside. It's an outdoor fight. The second there was two fights before ours, they get done. Still sunny weather, and then the second that I get up there, it starts to just start raining, and almost like a little bit of a downpour, which was really bad, not only for the fact that it was outside, but I didn't have my boots on. I had boxing shoes on, and I slipped during the fight. I think it was three times straight, but I wound up slipping more than that. And man, I was just excited, and I got just beat all to pieces. Now, how is that proof of God? Well, I had been neglecting for about a year or so. I had been neglecting my ministry, Hebrews 10 minutes, this ministry. I had been badly neglecting it. I had only put out, a video every 2 months or so, and wasn't really thinking anything. I was thinking much more about boxing. And I remember, this is personal, but I looked in the mirror one day and I said, why was boxing? I thought, why am I even boxing? Then I said, for glory, you know. But it was for my glory. It wasn't for God's glory. It wasn't helping anyone, but just trying to make me exalted. And I wound up just getting beat so badly. Did I get beat? I mean, my left eye was swollen. I could barely see out of my left eye. And then I had to drive all the way home concussed. I mean, totally concussed. Probably had 3, 4 concussions. I mean, the fight only lasted, I think it was 4 minutes, right around 4 minutes. And man, was it just a terrible experience. And that really got me out of boxing. And I thank God, because it was after that I wanted to get back into my ministry. And to this day, I tell people that's the best butt whooping I ever had. Now, number three, this happened to me about, I think it was around 4 or 5 years ago. I was a Christian now, but I was heavy and I was backsliding really, really heavy. And I started smoking this incense, spice stuff, the fake weed, we call it. And I started buying this Bizarro stuff because I had smoked it years before that, even like 10 years ago. I got started smoking it. I quit whenever I became a Christian for years, and then I got back on it and started backsliding. And I remember I started to smoke this stuff. I lost 40 pounds in 30 days because I wasn't eating and I could only sleep, I remember, 15 minutes a night. Well, this was some of the stuff that I was buying at that time, and I remember it's so addictive. And I remember I prayed to God to help me get off of it because I could tell I wasn't well. Like I was just so drained and exhausted by the end. I was mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, everything was I was just exhausted. And I remember I looked in the mirror and I was crying one day and I was really wanting to quit the stuff. And I said, God, you're just going to have to do it. Whatever you have to do, just do it. I was on the verge of losing my job because I mean, the things that started to happen to me at that time was just ridiculous. I lost my data and my cell phone. My minutes got cut off. My car shut down. For some reason, all the fluids were drained out of it. Not a drop on the ground or anything. Just didn't have any fluids. Didn't have any in the overflow. No oil. Didn't have anything. And it just shut down one night whenever I was on my way to work, and I might have made it just 10 feet out of the driveway, just enough to where I was going to get towed. My car got towed. And I was still smoking the stuff now. I was still hooked on it. And I lost my schedule to my work, and I was getting notes from my landlord because everybody was hearing about me getting on this. My job, my employers were hearing about me getting hooked back on this stuff. And I was really in a bad way. My bowels were even not functioning right. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. But I felt like I was dying. But anyway, I prayed that prayer to God. And I remember 2 days before Christmas, I had just purchased the most Bizarro stuff that I've ever purchased in my entire life. I think it was like 10 packs of it. It cost me well over my last $200. I didn't care if I was going to get evicted or not. All I wanted to do was have a lot of that. So I spent like $200 on it. And I remember I had to go pick it up at the U.S. mail because I had some neighbors that were like crackheads and everything trying to break into my home and everything. But anyway, we'll come to that. But I had to go pick it up at the postal office, and I get down there. Now this is 2 days before Christmas, so it's packed, and I'm detoxing at this time, involuntarily detoxing. And I remember I walk up and I ask the people, I say, okay, here's my tracking number, here's my package and everything. Have you got it here? Let's go check. Now, this stuff is banned. Like, if I get caught with this, I'm arrested, especially with a felony amount that I had. So they go back there and they say, step on across on over here to this wooden door where no one was at. And it was like the lead entrance into the back where all the mail was. So I go across there, and man, there's cops and everything. The place is packed. And I'm the only guy on over there, and I just look pitiful. You see me right now, imagine me right now about 60 pounds lighter and just pale as a ghost. I'm sweating. I'm sick because I'm detoxing. I look dead. I look like I'm half dead, mostly dead. And they go back there, and it takes 20 minutes for them to finally come back. And then they say, "Is this what your package looks like?" I was like, hey, yeah, I guess that's what my package looks like. I don't know what it looks like. I just want my stuff, man. Just hurry up. Just give me, so I can get out of here. And he says, we found your package. Is this your package? And that's to a drug addict. You're thinking you're already paranoid. You're already thinking you're scared to death anyway. I replied, yes, that's my package. Okay, here you go, sir. Hands it to me. I'm nervous. I'm walking out to my car. I get in my vehicle. I only lived about like 4 minutes away from there. So the whole drive there, traffic's everywhere, and I'm just wanting, I just say, just get me home. Just get me home. And I have this package of felonies worth of this Bizarro stuff. I think it's felonies worth, but I know it's illegal. I get home and I unwrap it, and right there they are. All 10 packs of Bizarro, just as I remembered it. And I start packing my bowl and everything. I just can't wait. I mean, I'm detoxed. I'm sick, you know. And then I hit it, and I remember the very first hit gets you like so bizarrely high that you can have massive panic attacks. So I said, well, I'm gonna go easy on it. So I hit it, and then it doesn't do anything. And then I hit it again, it doesn't do anything. Then I say, okay, something's weird. So I hit it again. I finish off an entire bowl, and nothing happens. And I'm sitting there and I go, what's going on? So I do a quick Google. Come to find out, the Bizarro, the main ingredient in the Bizarro, had been banned throughout the entire United States. And that was the chemical that got you the most high. And they took that out. So now I'm basically just smoking like incense, literal incense. I didn't have any more money left. I couldn't buy any more, and I wound up having to flush all that stuff because it did nothing. It forced me to quit on that day, and I praise God to this very day. I believe that something real bad was right on the verge of happening to me. Next up, it's a bit of these next stories are going to be pretty quick. I remember I wound up stealing one of these screens for vehicles. Like they're the actual screens, like you can hook it up and it's the screens that come up in the video. It's like a little TV screen in your vehicle. And I wound up stealing that for reasons I'm not going to get into, but I wound up stealing that. And I put it in my car, and I think it was about 3 days after I put it into my vehicle, which I had been driving for years. I put it in there, and after about 3 days, I wound up, that vehicle got totaled. I was on my way to smoke some pot with one of my buddies, and somebody got in my lane. I know who the person is. I'm not going to say any names, but they got in my lane because they weren't paying attention. And I got in the other lane, in their lane, and then they looked up suddenly. They jerked the car over, and they wound up just smashing into the back side of my vehicle. And no joke, it went like my vehicle was spinning in the middle of the road. I never will forget that. I was so certain that I was about to die that I had no fear of dying because I was so resolved, there's nothing I can do. This is about to hurt. And wound up not. The only thing that happened was after it spun I think 3 times in the middle of the road. On a bright and sunny day, fortunately, there was nobody else coming because anybody would have got hit. It stopped spinning, and I'm facing the other way in his lane towards home. That was just the biggest wake-up call. Well, anyway, it wound up destroying my vehicle. Pretty much every single bit of the backside totaled it, completely totaled it. 'Cause, I mean, it hit. Whenever it hit, I mean, it hit. It sounded, I never will forget, it sounded like a cannon going off whenever he hit because I was going at least 50, 60. He was going, I think, 40 or so, and it just total catastrophe. Wound up damaging the TV, and nothing came of that anymore. Another event is I got into stealing CDs. I was about 18, 19 years old, and I remember about 6 months or so into stealing all these CDs, and I mean, I had a book full of them and everything. A big snow came down, and I was working at this factory. It was my first job ever. It was making car visors for vehicles. There's this hill. It's called Overton Hill in Jackson County, Tennessee, Gainesboro, Tennessee. And I didn't feel like going up that hill because it was the biggest snow that I can actually remember in my whole life. It was the biggest snow. I stopped my vehicle at the bottom of Overton Hill and I walk up the hill. I come back the next day, me and my dad and everybody. The window on the driver's side is completely shattered, and I remember the footprints in the snow was like size 23 or something. It was just gigantic. The only thing stolen out of my car was that book of CDs. That was the only thing stolen. They left the radio. They left everything. I think I had like change in the middle console, and they didn't touch any bit of it. But my CDs I stole, and then they got stolen from me. Now, just to go back to whenever I was living in my apartment smoking the Bizarro stuff, it was right around that same time. I believe that it was 3 months after that time. Now I had quit smoking the Bizarro stuff, and I was getting my weight back, and I was feeling real good. But I had those crackhead neighbors. Well, I remember I was so paranoid by them. I was so paranoid of because I had already been threatened by them. I believe there was like five of them wanted to fight me at once, and that wound up really going in my favor. That's a whole nother story, but they scattered because of something. But anyway, I wound up getting my concealed carry. And I said, if I have that problem again, I'm gonna defend myself. Because they had tried to break in and everything, and the reason why I say they tried to break in was because I was home whenever they tried, and I pulled up the blinder, and they wound the blinds, and they wound up seeing that I was there, and that's whenever they wanted to fight me. But I wound up just a couple of weeks after that. Got my concealed carry. This was March, around March, and I know because it was right around the time of my birthday, March 21st, and I got my concealed carry, and I mean I was really ready to use it. I was in a very bad way, very very bad way. It's not like I didn't still have problems other than the Bizarro and stuff. But I got my concealed carry. I bought a 38 special. I carried it. I believe it was the next day after I got my concealed carry. I went down to my mom and dad's for my birthday dinner. They always cook me like a dinner for my birthday. Well, I go down there and my dad says, "You still living in that rat house?" Because it was like a project place. And I said, "Yeah, I'm still living there, but everything's all right. I'll take care of it." Yeah, they didn't know anything that was happening. My dad said, "Why don't you just move in with Steph, my sister?" And I said, and I had so been wanting just any opportunity to move out of that place. I hated living in that apartment. I hated it worse than anything in the whole world. I dreaded going home just because I hated my neighbors. I couldn't stand it. But the day after I got my concealed carry, it was like the day or the second day after I got it, and I was in a dangerous mode. I wound up being given that wide open door to move out. Another event that happened was whenever. Now, if you'll notice, a lot of these do not go in my favor. At the time, they didn't go in my favor, but ultimately, I learned a great lesson from all of these. Now, just like I was stealing the CDs and I got my CDs stolen from me, the same thing happened to me whenever I stole someone's pot. It was me, and breaking into this house, stole some pot, left. Just, I think it was a month later, my pot was stolen. Not long at all afterwards. It's like about 2 months later, mine was stolen as well. Another one is having to do with a female, and we were working together, and she was an atheist. I remember one day we were smoking pot and everything together. Now I was a Christian, but she was an atheist. We was hanging out and we was getting all in. I was backsliding heavily. And she told me one day, we were sitting in my vehicle and I was just about to go to church. And she said, "Why don't you just quit? Why don't you just quit church?" And I said, "Who are you, Satan?" I never will forget saying that. Completely serious, too. She knew I was serious. She didn't laugh. It seemed like something dawned on her for just a second. But I wound up going to church. I'm not going to. But we wound up. Things fell apart. We only got to hang out, I think it's for about a month, and man, did things just go completely bad. They found out about stuff that we was doing, and I wound up getting drug tested, and I lost my job for 30 days. As long as I hung out with her, I lost my job for that many days exact. Hung out with her for 30 days, lost my job for 30 days. Now, the last one is the most recent that I can actually talk about, and there are plenty more of these that I have, and I can't say because they're so personal. They have to do with family and friends, and I'd have to mention them, and I'm just not going to do that. But I remember it was about 9 months ago, March 2020, literally days before this whole pandemic thing blew up. I believe that it was the week of the pandemic blowing up. And I was teaching in Sunday school, and I contact my pastor, and my pastor, he started to worry, I suppose, about the coronavirus, because like I said, this was just getting blown up. And he tells me, or I request to him, I say, "Do you care if I show this video exposing Hollywood during Sunday school?" And he said, "Well, we're not going to have any more Sunday morning services because of the virus, I suppose." And man, I got real down about that. I could understand his reasoning though, but I got real down about it, and I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, I think it was about 24 to 48 hours later. I'm thinking 2 days, but it may have even been sooner than that. My laptop, I keep right beside of my television. I don't have satellite or any of that. I just hook up an HDMI cable to my laptop, and everything on my laptop I watch on this screen. Well, my laptop was a Dell, and it wound up just stopping. It just stopped working. No more turning it on, nothing. I'd had it, though, for about 6 or 8 years. And my first beginning of my ministry actually had that. But yeah, it just shut down. I lost my Sunday school teaching spot, and I was like, "Well, Lord, I was fine now. I mean, I wasn't on drugs, backsliding, or any of that. I said, well, Lord, what am I gonna do?" So my Dell shuts down completely, and I go to Electronic Express, Radio Shack. I can't remember where I went, but I remember I went to a place that had a lot of laptops. I go in and I'm looking at this one laptop, and this girl's talking to me, and she says she's one of the salesmen there, whatever. And she tells me, "Well, what are you looking for?" I said, "Well, I do videos. I make videos for YouTube. It's for my ministry." And she said, "Oh, if you edit your videos, then this right here would be the perfect laptop for you. Now, it costs a few $100s more." And it was right on the amount that I actually had. I believe I had 65 bucks after that remaining. I didn't have hardly anything else. It's just like the moving job. It's right on the dot of what I had. And it was the laptop that I have now, MSI. It was a really good laptop, really, really fast. And to do the work that I was going to have to do and that I've done since, I had to have a fast laptop. I didn't know that until after I'd bought it. Well, I still didn't really have any real plans for my ministry. I had just bought the laptop so that I could watch movies on it. I get home and I read on this preacher's Bible study. He's doing a Bible study. And in the comment section, a woman had said, "I wish that someone would do a Bible study of the entire Bible." And that's whenever it clicked. I said, well, I'll do it. I haven't got anything else to do. No wife, no kids, no, working from it. I got a lot of time off. I can do it. I can do it. And that's what started my Bible studies. And it just so happened that the churches around us started to shut down at that time. And all these other preachers were starting to get into online sermons. And that's whenever I said, well, I've already got a built in Hebrews 10 ministry online ministry. So I'm just going to do the whole Bible study. And that's whenever my ministry really kicked off. And it was just a day, or no, not even a day. It was just a few hours after I bought the new laptop. And without that new laptop, there's no way I could do this with any kind of sane mind to me, because even with this very fast laptop, it gets so aggravating editing videos and all. It can take hours. But my friends, that is it for today. I don't know if this is going to help anybody, but I felt moved to talk about these things that they're truly proofs of God. I mean, creation itself is proof of God, but I'm sure that you all can look back at your life and just tell, yeah, that was God. That had to have been God. And it's these little moments that has to come back into our mind to remind us of what God has done for us and how good that he has been for us. And even whenever it seems like, like how I got CDs stolen or weed stolen or, lost this relationship, lost my job, all these things worked out for the better. And now I often tell people the greatest proof that I can say is something that I can't show you, nor can I really describe. And it was the night that I got saved in August 2012. I just prayed a simple prayer. I said, Lord, if I'm lost, save me. And I said it with just tears. I was just so broken. And I remember it was after that night, I had atheist quotes on the wall, had atheist buddies come over, and I'd let them write whatever on the wall. And I had a Tupac poster and girls in bikinis. And man, the next morning after that, everything had changed. Suddenly, I didn't want to be a world famous rap artist anymore. I just wanted to serve God. And it started real slow. I just didn't want to. I thought cigarettes tasted bad. Liquor sounded horrible to me. Beer was nasty to me. And I tried to smoke pot the next day, and it just didn't feel right. And I remember I set it back down, and I didn't even hit it. And I said, no, I'm just going to hold off. For months after that, I painted over all that atheist quotes and everything my buddies had put up. I quit hanging out with my buddies. They didn't want to hang out with me. I turned really weird, really radical, really fast. Took the Tupac poster down, and I started nothing but gospel, nothing but just this beautiful music, Beethoven and all of these, and Charles Wesley. Just started listening to hymns, and every bit of it that I could find, I was just cramming into my head. I couldn't get enough. No cussing, no drinking, no smoking, no nothing. Just God and the love of Jesus. And that's the greatest proof, but that's the one I can't describe. I can only explain what happened to me after that. I went from a horrible drug dealing, thieving rapper to a preacher that has his own online ministry now, and God seems to be blessing it. I thank you all for listening. Praise God for all of the good that he does for us. Thank you. Amen.